So nationally, as well as in Arizona and Southern Arizona, we obviously are very familiar and are working through the Paycheck Protection Program. In Arizona, we've got um, 72,000 businesses that have received the PPP loan, and that's to the tune of $8.5 billion, and that's since the inception of the first round of PPP funding. So that's Arizona numbers. We don't have the breakdown of the local, markets by congressional district at this time, but nationally, we still have about $100 billion in funding left. So we've now given out money to over 4 million small businesses.
PPP loans come with strings attached. The SBA will fully forgive loans if in 8 weeks employers spend at least 75% of the funds on payroll, with the rest going toward rent, mortgage interest, or utilities. According to reports, some businesses that temporarily closed and received PPP loans are worried that deviating from those terms in order to cover more urgent expenses puts them at risk of being forced to pay back a portion.
The Paycheck Protection Program was really designed around keeping people whole and keeping their payroll intact and allowing people to have an income, and it wasn't really taking these shutdown factors into account, nor was it intended to do that, honestly. So at this point where you are, I think there's a lot of discussion around those things because the reality of it is different. And as the COVID environment is very dynamic, things are changing all the time. So as the new legislation and things that are still on the Hill are being looked at, there'll be constant discussion about this very point.
And when applying for loans or programs, should businesses be very careful with certain steps along the way? In other words, should they read the fine print before they go ahead and apply for these services?
Very much so. The fine print is important on the certifications in both programs, and then the PPP loan, because you need to understand what's going to be forgiven and what's not going to be forgiven. It's important to understand what you're signing up for because the details are a little bit confusing at times when you're looking at trying to figure out, well, if the forgiveness part doesn't happen, it turns into a 1% loan and you have 2 years to pay that back. So ultimately, there's room for discussion as far as what's in there, but you want to understand if you put in 10 employees to get that PPP loan, then you've hired back 10 employees to keep the forgiveness model clean. So yes, there's definitely those pieces.
And how does your agency define a small business, and then who is eligible for benefits?
Yes, thank you. The small business definition, it's pretty much the general answer is 500 employees or less is the general definition. On the PPP side, we have an alternative size definition, or you could be defined by your industry code and your revenues as a result of that industry code. So we do allow some provisions on PPP that are a little different than our normal ones, which are looking at if you're a franchise industry business and you've got the NAICS code of 7.2, which is a food and concessions type of industry code. That one, as long as each location has 500 or less employees, they could be considered small, even if you have multiple locations. So there's a different, sort of variances on the small definition, but generally speaking, 500 employees or less. On the economic injury disaster loan side, same thing. We look at that. And on both programs, sole proprietors and independent contractors, they are eligible as well.
Any idea on how many organizations, how many small businesses have asked for assistance so far?
At this point on our economic injury disaster loan, we've got 4,000 approved, 4,600 or so approved as of a couple of days ago for the economic injury disaster loan. And on that side, the EIDL loan, it basically allows for a 3.75% interest rate over a 30-year term. And there's no repayment on that for the first 12 months. So ultimately, that's a popular loan program, and it's very helpful because it's not centered around the payroll alone. You can use it for other capital costs and other working capital needs. So that program is the one that is a popular one indeed. And it is now, if you applied before April 15th, we're getting through all those applications currently. We closed it to additional businesses applying after April 15th, unless you're an agricultural business.
And moving forward, if you could relay one major message to small businesses here in the state of Arizona, what would that be?
I would say that Arizona small businesses embody the American small business spirit, which is to be resilient and to persist and to carry on. We understand that these times are difficult and we appreciate that they are committed to getting through this. We have local counseling services through the Arizona Small Business Development Center. I definitely recommend that you take advantage of those free counseling services that are being offered virtually so that you can understand you're not alone in this small business recovery. We're here to help with that. SBA.gov/AZ is where you can find all of our local resources. We have newsletters that we're sending out. We have webinars that we're conducting. Everybody's on deck to make sure that we can get this recovery started. So thank you so much.
Shivani Dubey, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.